Good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a fantastic day. It is... What's today? I have lotion on my face. It's Wednesday. It's nice to be here in the middle of the week with you. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try to have my coffee before I do the show, because yesterday, I'm not going to lie, I was lethargic. I had no caffeine for like 4 or 5 days, and wow, I was tired 2 days ago, and I had my family in here, and that was a mild mess, so thanks to putting up with me for that. But today, I already had my coffee. I am ready to go. We have some green tea brewing, so we're going to be nice and chill for the rest of the day. Today, lots is going on. I'm playing the Will the Thrill annual charity tournament in New York City tonight. That should be a lot of fun, benefiting the Ronald McDonald House. Jonathan Jaffe, one of the poker coaching coaches, won a tournament yesterday. He won the, what was it? I think it was a 20... Was it a 25K? I think it was a 25K. Yeah, the $25,000 buy-in tournament. He won it for $340,000, so congrats to Jonathan Jaffe. He's on a sick run. He took 6th place at WPT Bellagio last month. And now he's won this other tournament, so that's good. Poker coaching students, poker coaching premium students can look forward to perhaps a webinar with him reviewing that content, so that's nice. Also, today we're going to be talking about how to become known in the poker world. And what made me think about that is the Global Poker Awards are happening right now. And I'm actually a semifinalist for the Video Blogger of the Year Award. And you may say, Jonathan, you don't actually make very many video blogs. And that's true. But if you read their definition for what a video blogger is, it is someone who makes consistent content that is educational and connects well with their audience. And if you think about it, this is kind of consistent. I make this, 3 days a week, about 120 hours a year. Also, all the YouTube content counts. And I make, maybe 10 video blogs a year. So maybe I am a video blogger. So, we're live for that category. And also, for the last 2 years, we've been in the top 4 of the Poker Personality Choice of the Year. And I've yet to win. Let's try to win this year. That'd be fun. There are links to vote for me on twitter.com/Jonathan Little. You'll just need to click these 2 links. That would be highly appreciated if you think I have been beneficial to you over the course of the last year, and I deserve your vote. I posted a direct link to the tweet in the chat. I don't know if you all see that, but twitter.com/Jonathan Little. You can go right there. It's the very top tweet. Click both links, vote for me. I would highly appreciate it. So, how do you become known in the poker world such that you actually are live for any of these categories that don't actually depend on winning at poker? Well, that said, let's take this slow. Don't get ahead of ourselves. Okay, first, do you actually want to become known in the poker world? Do you actually care if you become known? And I think the answer for most people is that it might actually be better to not be all that well known, especially if you want to get in high stakes private cash games, or if you just don't want to deal with, let's say, the government after you, right? I have a few obvious downsides. First things first, you have to deal with the government every once in a while, right? Also, an unforeseen consequence is that very often you don't actually know people's motives when they meet you, because they may just be after you for your money or to try to scam you or something. I've had plenty of people attempt to scam me. So far, only one came close, and I staked my lawyer, Mac Verstandig, on him and fixed the problem. So we have yet to be actually scammed, so that's good. But that kind of thing happens, right? As you become more and more known and people realize you probably have a little bit of money, they try to take your little bit of money in whatever way they can. So that's a problem, right? If you're not known and people don't know you have any money, if you're just a random dude, people probably aren't going to be out there trying to get you all that often. So that is important, right? To realize. And then also, people aren't necessarily going to be out to scam you, but you always have to have a little bit of guard up. And it actually makes it kind of tough to develop long-term, lifelong friends, or really close friends, because you never know. And I think this is actually why you see a lot of relatively high up people in the world, in whatever world they're in, being friends with also other high up people in the world. It's not because they necessarily are equally smart or talk about the same things, but it's because when someone has a lot to lose, you know they're not going to do anything stupid to try to screw you, right? But if someone has nothing to lose, they might do something stupid to try to screw you. And I know that sounds a little bit bad, but I mean, it's kind of true. If you have like a billionaire out there, they're probably just not going to make too many friends with people who are, only $100 heirs. They're just probably not. And it's like almost a form of protection to make sure that you just don't open yourself up to running into bad spots. Where do you vote? Twitter.com/Jonathan Little. Very first post. I have it right here. Click these 2 links. You click the links, you'll scroll down a little bit, it'll be there. It's kind of difficult to vote, so they don't make it easy, but that's how you do it. Thanks to everyone who is voting, I appreciate it. So, I do think there are benefits in not being known. I think that's actually something a lot of people drastically underestimate. I think a lot of people get in their minds that the goal is to become known and the goal is to become famous. And, for you, maybe the goal is to become famous. Maybe the goal is to become known. Why is this thing not showing the bottom post? What's going on here? I think maybe that fixes it. There you go, everyone. Thanks for dealing with me. Tech problems. So anyway, once you decide you do want to become known, or perhaps it's naturally happening because you are starting to win poker tournaments, what are some thoughts that go along with that? And how can you continue becoming more well-known, right? Well, first things first, in today's world, realize that just winning at poker alone is not necessarily enough to become known, right? Because inevitably what happens is a lot of people have decent poker results. Like back in the day, back in 2003, if you had $1 million in cashes, you were like the man, right? Because nobody had $1 million in cashes. In order to have $1 million in cashes, you either had to have been around for quite a while, or you had to have won a big major poker tournament. So then, after a few years, inevitably then having like $3 million in cashes doesn't actually matter all that much, right? And even today, now everyone who's been around for a while, everyone who's decently well known in the community has $3 million or more in cashes. And that makes it difficult to fully get, it makes it difficult to become known because there are so many people who have done this accomplishment that is difficult to do but is still achievable, right? And this happens in a lot of industries that are relatively new but then progress forward because, time progresses. For example, in a game like Hearthstone, right? If you won the first 4 or 5 big Hearthstone tournaments, you're well known. But now if you win a Hearthstone tournament, nobody cares because it takes place every week, right? Just like poker, if you win a random poker tournament, it's good, it's great, you're happy, you win a bunch of money, but people are not following it nearly as much. It's almost like there's an oversaturation problem, right? Kind of like a World Series bracelet. Everyone has a World Series of Poker bracelet nowadays, besides me. It turns out all of my friends were all very bad at World Series of Poker events, apparently. And it used to be like a dream for everyone to have a World Series of Poker bracelet. That was just like a thing you had to do to make it. But now it's like people realize that it's kind of hard to win a 1,000-person tournament. You got to run very, very hot, and you can't do anything about it. And so now it's like, can you actually get well known from your poker results? And I think the answer is kind of no. Now, some people out there will be paying attention, but then you have to ask, like, why do you even want to be known for your poker results? What's the purpose? Some people say, I want to get backed. Well, if you are really good at poker, you don't need to get backed, right? So that's not a good reason. What's another good reason where you want to become well known? Well, it's to stroke your ego, right? It's to make yourself feel as if you are succeeding at life. Lando Calrissian fell down. So, you have to ask, is that actually something worth achieving? And is it worth it to go out of your way to try to accomplish that? So, I, for example, fell into this, I'll call it a trap, for a little while, where I had 2 World Poker Tour titles. Only one other person had more. Gus Hansen had more. He had 3. And for a year or 2, I would just travel around and playing I would play every World Poker Tour tournament. Whereas in reality, it probably made more financial sense to go over to Europe and play the European series because they just had more volume, right? So, I was giving up equity in exchange for the potential to be one of the only few people who had 3 titles. Now, a few more people have surpassed it. Darren Elias, Anthony Zeno, etc., etc. I think they have 4 each, something like that. And also, I realized it's just not monetary feasible for me to fly around the country playing one $5,000 buy-in tournament at a time. It just doesn't make sense, right? Given my setup in life. And that's a problem. Assuming I care about that achievement. But why do I care about that achievement? What does it actually do for me? I think the answer is not a whole lot, right? And why am I trying to do this? For fun? I mean, I have other things going on in my life to the point I don't need to do that. As Damien says here, people crave validation. And they do. People do crave validation. And I do think getting some validation is very, very good and very, very beneficial. But once you have some, do you really need to start chasing it hard? And I think the answer is no. You really don't. So players that are backed aren't very good. Well, it depends on the exact scenario, but if you are backed in $1,000 buy-in tournaments, yeah, you're probably not very good. Hate to break it to you. And the reason is because it's actually not all that difficult to get a hold of a $100,000 bankroll if you are very good and you put in a lot of volume. Now, at the very high stakes games, where you're playing $100,000 buy-in tournaments or $25,000 buy-in tournaments, it actually is kind of difficult to get a hold of $2.5 million for a 25K or $10 million for a 100K, right? That actually kind of is difficult to do. And there hasn't been enough time, enough volume for people to actually grind that up, right? Almost no one has actually grinded up a $10 million bankroll from playing exactly poker tournaments. Maybe a few people have, but not very many, just because there has been a small sample size. But there's a huge sample size of $50 tournaments, $100 tournaments, $200 tournaments. You can play them all day, every day, right? So in order to get to the level of $1,000-ish buy-in tournaments, if you are devoting your life to poker and you're not there, it probably means you're not all that great. Hate to break it to you, it's the truth, right? And that just is what it is. So, the idea of I want to become known so I get backed does not make sense. Instead, you should become good at poker to the point that you don't need or want to be backed, right? Dan Blitzarian did it, LOL. Let's see. Appreciate my lessons. Well, welcome. So, why is there more variance in tournament poker? Because in tournament poker, you either take first, second, or third place, or you don't win a whole lot of money. Isn't that the goal? To become known, to have other opportunities to succeed? Well, we'll talk about that in just a second, right? How much relative revenue can your name generate in the poker world? Well, it's going to sound rough. How politically correct do we want to be here? If you are a female, I think you're having a good results, and being presentable is very valuable. For a American guy like myself, not all that valuable because there's a lot of us, right? Typically, minorities in the poker world are disproportionately rewarded in terms of sponsorship deals, et cetera, if they do well. And interestingly enough, if you are the best poker player from Uruguay, let's say, just completely off the top of my head, you can probably get a deal from one of the major poker sites if you are willing to do the work. Get out there and stream and add value and make content and whatnot, right? If you're just going to only play poker, it's not worth the time. So it really depends on how much work are you willing to do. Do cash game grinders ever really get known? I think people know Tom Dwan. I think people know Andrew Roble. I think people know Matt Berkey. I think people know Phil Galfond, right? I think people know those people. I think people know Jungle Man. So do they ever get known? Yeah, if they crush. How did Nottingham live up to my expectations? It was great. I took 16th place in a $1,000 tournament and did pretty well online. Okay. So, LOL presentable. I mean, it's tough to say, because there are people out there who really just don't want to put themselves together. I mean, it's actually interesting where it seems like most poker sites are coming around to the idea that you can't just be a poker player and show up looking disheveled and be a valuable person to sponsor, right? Sites are now coming around to the idea that you need to be kind of presentable. I mean, look at the major sites. They've gotten rid of well, first off, they've gotten rid of a lot of pros because they just don't add value. And then also, they're tending to sponsor presentable ones, men and women alike, right? It just is what it is. All right. So anyway, you're probably not going to become known from your poker results. You're just not. Assuming you're starting now, or you have 500K in cashes right now, it's going to take you a long time to become known to the public. I was on the panel for the Global Poker Awards to vote for Breakout Player of the Year, and I knew one person on that list. And some of these people are like number 30 in the world or something like this. And I mean, I'm not like following all the great news content that Poker News puts out on a regular basis or the Card Player puts out on a regular basis, but at the same time, you think I would have heard of them, and I just haven't. Like, I couldn't pick them out of a lineup, so I had to do my research and try to figure out what are good results for the year, right? And these are people who had $2 or $3 million in cashes over the last year, and I've never even heard of the people. And I think a lot of people haven't heard of the people. It's not like I'm not in the know. It's just a matter of I'm not grinding like the mid-stakes circuit. A lot of these players won a bunch of $1,000 tournaments. They won 5 tournaments last year, and they're crushing it. They're absolutely crushing it. Yet, I would bet if you asked all of the panelists, the average number that people probably knew was like 3 out of 15 that were available. And just because that's not the way you get known in today's world. Why? Because having great results is no longer very... It doesn't make you stand out. It just doesn't, because there are a lot of people who have good results. Okay, fine. So, what are good ways to become known? And the right answer is to become different than other people. And if you can't stand out based on poker results, you have to stand out based on other things. Someone mentioned earlier the guy who pulled his pants down and peed on the floor or whatever he did during this year at the World Series. He became known. Haha, that's great. Yeah, but that guy also goes to jail and probably doesn't actually love his life all that much, and no one is going to want to work with him. So I mentioned earlier, what is the point of being known? Isn't that to get other opportunities? And this is actually one of the benefits of being known. We'll talk about that in a minute. But so you want to be different. So what can you do to be different? Well, first things first, you want to find undervalued or underpriced attention, right? And you want to find spots where there is a lack of content. The video bloggers and the Twitch streamers, take a look at most of them. The vast majority of them, besides like Dan Legranu, they were essentially unknowns, right? Especially the cash game players. I mean, if you look at someone like Brad Owen, right? He's a good 5-10 cash game grinder. And if he was a good 5-10 cash game grinder and did not put out video blogs, he'd probably be relatively unknown. Yet, the video blogs he produces are very good. They're high quality. He clearly puts a lot of work in. And now he's, I think, one of the most popular streamers on YouTube, or one of the most popular video bloggers on YouTube. Same thing goes for Twitch, right? There's a lot of just kind of unknown online tournament players or online cash game players who are essentially, there are many players just like them who do not make content, and the people who do not make content are completely unknown. So, you have to be willing to get in front of people, right? So, how do you get in front of people? You have to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to take criticism and willing to look dumb in front of people. And the neat thing about video blogs is you can actually kind of curate the content so you don't look so dumb. But when you're streaming or doing things live, like this show, you're really out there. When you say something stupid, people will point it out and they'll replay it, etc., right? So, it's important to recognize that. Card Player Life, good morning. Whoever is seeing and hearing this, spread the word. Well, depends on if they think it provides value, and people need to know this, right? I actually don't think this topic is all that relevant for everyone, but the Global Poker Awards happening right now made me think of it. Again, if you think I'm worthy of Poker Personality of the Year or Video Blogger of the Year, go to twitter.com/Jonathan Little. The very first post there, you'll see 2 links. Click both of those and vote for me. I would appreciate it if you think I've added value to you over the last few years. Well, over the last year, because it's only for the last year. So, how do you put yourself out there? What are things you can do? Phil Galfond Challenge is a great example of this, Philip mentions, because Phil Galfond he's already well known, but I don't think a whole lot of people are playing on his site, right? And how do you get people on your site? Like, I'm sure, he's tried all sorts of stuff, but it's hard to get people to change behavior. I mean, we see this with people still playing all their volume on PokerStars. Why are they playing on PokerStars when they actively do things to not help the player, right? And it's because it's hard to change habits. I've talked with Rob Young at Party Poker a decent amount about this. How do you get people to change habits? And I don't know, I'm interested in your ideas. My grand idea is make rake go to 0 for the small and medium stakes games, the micro stakes games especially. We'll see if we can convince that to happen. If it happened, you all know we did it first here. The goal is to get the rake to $0 for micro stakes games. So anyway, I think that will change behavior. We're getting off topic here. How do you become known? You do things that are fun and different and unique, right? And Phil Galfond doing his challenge is fun, different, and unique, and it might end up costing him a ton of money. But it's going to get him a lot of attention, right? Nobody else is doing challenges. And I would actually venture to say streaming is probably not where you want to focus your attention because it's kind of getting saturated. Now look, it's going to be more saturated in a few years. But currently I think it's starting to get there. I mean, when I first started streaming on Twitch, I actually got banned for streaming on Twitch because they didn't allow you to stream anything gambling. And I apparently did not know the rules. I thought you could stream any game. And they banned me. Okay, too early. Then, a year later, Jason Somerville comes along and does the exact same thing, and he became the hero. So, fine, it is what it is. But when Jason Somerville started, he was essentially the first Twitch streamer. So there was nobody else doing it. He got all of this attention right off the bat. On making video blogs, right? People like Brad Owen, Andrew Nemi, and a few other people, they made some of the first video blogs. I'm sure I'm missing some names, right? But if you are very early to any platform and that type of content takes off, you will inevitably kind of have a snowball effect. I mean, I've seen this over the last 2 or 3 years. I've significantly ramped up my YouTube content purposefully because there really wasn't a whole lot of great educational YouTube content that was produced on a very, very regular basis. So we ramped it up and went from 2,000 followers a few years ago to now we have like 42,000 followers. And it kind of goes on a exponential curve if you're good at it and you provide a lot of value, right? As Ryan W. says here, be genuine and add value. Now, it's actually interesting because I don't know if genuine is necessarily what you have to do. Now, I try to be genuine, but there are plenty of people in all content creation spaces who, for lack of good words, they act like clowns, right? And in various ways. Either they actually try to put on a performance, right? Maybe they have bells and whistles and ridiculous graphics, but then when you talk to them in the real world, they're just like normal, chill people. But they're putting on a production, right? I don't do a whole lot of putting on a production because, well, that's just really not me, and I am going to be genuine and down to earth because that's what I'm trying to do here. I don't want unnecessary complications. I can barely stream this as it is. But that's what some people do, and that's okay, right? I mean, realize people like different things. Some people try to stir up trouble. I try to not stir up a whole lot of trouble unless it's really justified. But that's a good way to get attention, right? Especially if not very many people are stirring up trouble. I've gotten attention because I help other people get better at poker. So really, you want to find where you can add value that other people cannot. And going back to being the early adopter to various platforms, I mean, I've had a training site longer than almost everyone. I'm trying to think, is there any training site that's still around that's been around as long as my first one? And I don't know. I mean, maybe some people are still in the game. I think my first training site started in 2005. What year are we in now? So that's 15 years ago? Oh my God. So 15 years ago, I made a training site, and we're still here, right? It's changed names. It's gone various iterations. But being around for that long period of time gives me a huge first mover advantage. So you need to find spots where you can have the first mover advantage. Great spots I would tell you to look at right now, mixed game content. There's not a whole lot of good mixed game content out there in terms of like good high-level educational stuff or very good accessible stuff, as far as I can tell. So all of those random games, you can become known as the Badoogie guy, or you can become known as the Badacey guy, or right? I don't know. Whatever it is. Also, what else could you do? You could do like the low stakes grind video blogs. I know there are a few of those out there, but for example, Jamin Burton, The Drawing Dead, he does a great job with like small stakes video blogs. He makes it cool. He does graphics. It's neat, right? It's good content, and he gets a lot of views. I was looking it up, and I don't know what it is. He has like a few million views over this last year. showing off small stakes games. And he's doing it in a very unique, different way. He differentiates himself from other people. And if you just do what everyone else does, it's not going to add all that much value. Whenever I am trying to make my content, I am trying to present it from sort of an educational slant, also from a real slant. A lot of video bloggers, I think, try to sugarcoat things, and I try to not sugarcoat it. Like, I have a video blog coming out soon about Nottingham, and I went there and I won the first tournament, then break the rest of them. And that's real life, right? And a lot of people want to essentially show how great they are, but I want to show what reality is. And like, my reality is from a decent poker player, right? If you are not a decent poker player, your reality is going to be way worse, right? And I try to be real with the struggles, because there are struggles. But that's how I do it, right? And you need to figure out how you do it. And it's different for everyone. And there's no right or wrong, right? Now, I may not agree with all tactics some people use, but there is no right or wrong, and you do whatever is successful to you. Realize, though, that you will inevitably cultivate your following, okay? And you have to ask, am I cultivating the following that I want? I am purposefully cultivate a following of people who want to work hard to better their lives, right? If you make content where you're consistently belittling people, you're going to attract people who like to belittle people. Is that really a good audience? Is that really what you want in your life? And some people, I guess that is, right? But for me, that's not what I want at all, so we don't do that type of thing, and inevitably people who do that type of thing realize that's not what we do here, and they either change or they leave. And either way, I don't care, right? I mean, I'd rather them change, but if they don't, it is what it is. So once you have cultivated your following by being unique, by adding value is very important, right? What are some benefits you're going to inevitably get? Well, opportunities are going to flow your way. Whenever you first start anything, whenever you're a young person, you don't have very many opportunities unless you're just very fortunate based on genetics. So you're probably going to have to go work for a job. And when you're young, you may have to take whatever job comes your way. Now, if that's the case, realize you can't be all that picky. When I was young, I was 16 years old, I needed to get a job if I wanted to have a car and have insurance, so I went to work at McDonald's. Didn't want to work at McDonald's, but I would have rather been an astronaut or a doctor, but I was 16 years old, and so I didn't have that opportunity, right? The only job I was offered was a job at McDonald's. And so I had to do that. I didn't mind it. I liked the job. It was a nice, easy job. I think a nice mindset I've been born with naturally is that most things are pretty easy. McDonald's is pretty easy, and everybody else there thought it was hard and stressful, but it was really just pretty easy. Orders come up, you make the orders. Or people come in, you cash them, you do the cashier, and you give them their food. It's not all that difficult. But anyway, you do the job that you need to do. And as you get more opportunities, inevitably, you need to start saying no to opportunities, right? Eventually, I said no to McDonald's when a better opportunity came along. I started working at an airport, fueling up airplanes, which was a significantly better job because it gave me free time. It paid more money. And then I eventually had to say no to that because poker came along. But as you become more and more valuable, as you can naturally add more value to other people's endeavors, they are going to start... You're going to have many, many opportunities come in. I've been offered jobs at, legitimate companies as a non-poker player. And, if I did not have other opportunities, I would have taken them, right? Because they pay a lot of money. But that's not necessarily what I want to do, and I'd rather be able to do my own thing and help all of you, right? So, once you have a lot of opportunities come in, you have to learn how to be discerning, and you have to learn how to say no. A lot of people have a hard time saying no. I mean, I have a hard time saying no to some extent. I mean, I've been involved in a few poker-related businesses where, looking back, I'm like, why was I even wasting my time on that? Because it's not going to succeed. I can, look and tell. I mean, I could add value. I could give it the best chance to succeed that it can, but it's not ever going to be, a big thing. It's never going to make me a ton of money. So why am I doing this? And the answer is I have a hard time saying no sometimes. I don't anymore. I've become really good at it. But I would tell most people to get better at saying no and be prepared to say no to a lot of things. Say someone comes to me with some mean, someone sent me an email the other day with an idea for some poker product. I didn't even get to it because they didn't send me the right form of document to look at. But it's like, I don't even know what it is, but I can probably tell you I'm going to say no, even if I think it's kind of neat, because I don't have the bandwidth, the time, the energy to devote to helping someone else make their thing right now, right? I have poker training sites who want to work with me all the time, and you end up inevitably saying no, right? And that's okay. It's okay. And as you have more and more opportunities, you must get good at saying no to things that will not significantly better your life, your family's life, and your goals, right? So recognize that is a benefit of becoming known, and that's something that you're going to have to deal with. It's a benefit, but also a responsibility to some extent. You've always wondered why people play on TV for free. Online high-stakes poker loss eliminates any sponsor profit, you would guess. No, I completely disagree. There are many poker players who have... So first off, let's think about this. Why would people play on a streamed game today? Well, the answer is very often the recreational players in those games mostly or primarily play on streamed games because it's fun. They can goof off, they can show their friends how cool they are, and they like playing there. So if they like playing there, and that's where they mostly like to play, if you want to play, you have to go where they're playing, right? And that's okay. So that's a good reason for good players to play on the stream games. And then you say sponsor profit. If you're a cash game player to begin with, primarily, you're not going to get any sponsors. Go ahead and forget that. Okay, so let's clear this up real quick. Poker players who are sponsored, besides the absolute biggest names, are not making much money. I don't know their exact deals, but it's probably in the 100K a year range or less. Okay? So, 100K a year is fine money, don't get me wrong, but that's like the peak. Okay? If Jonathan Little was to go out and find a deal somewhere, it might be something like that. And that's good. It's good, don't get me wrong, but you're not going to get rich off of it. I think a lot of people have in their minds that, whenever you get sponsored by a site, the sites will pay all of your buy-ins. So you can play whatever tournaments you want, and you play 500K a year and you're just free-rolling all of them. Don't know why you're thinking that. Get that out of your head immediately. Anyway, I don't know exactly the terms that various people have, but I do know like streamers get different terms and personalities and et cetera, et cetera. But unless you are the biggest names in the game, you're probably not getting paid a lot. And I hate to break it to all of you, we're probably not going to become the biggest name in the game. Just is what it is. So, recognize that the goal of I'm going to try to get good at poker to get a sponsorship needs to go out the window. I, Jonathan Little, American man, learned a long time ago, if you want any sort of residual income from poker, you have to make it yourself, right? Because as like my individual traits I'm not all that unique, right? There's plenty of people who look like me from America who are doing the same thing that I am in terms of my poker play. So we have to do something different. So we made PokerCoaching.com purposely. We spent a lot of time and energy making that because I wanted to be able to stay home with my family. So what can a decent poker player do from home in his spare time and still be with his family? Well, the answer is make content, right? So how do we make content? Figure out the value add. I help people play tournaments and people play cash games, and we add enough value to the point that I get to stay home sometimes. So that's what I have done. A lot of people haven't done this, though. They instead just keep playing poker all day, every day. I was talking to a player just the other day. He's like, yeah, man, it's tough having a kid because I have to go out and play poker all the time. And yeah, that's tough. And I realized 3 years ago, actually more like 5 years ago now, I want to be able to slow down and have kids, so what can I do to really ensure that happens? And PokerCoaching.com was the plan, and it happened. Is this pre-recorded? Well, if you watch it later, it's pre-recorded. Right now it's live. Are there good tournaments to research around the Philadelphia area? I would suggest you to play at, what's the name of that place? I don't go there because the tournaments are too small. Parks. Parks is a good place to play. Borgata is a good place to play. They have tournaments going on right now. I'll be there Friday and Saturday playing a $1,000 and a $1,500 tournament for fun. Am I playing any tournaments for the World Series? I'm playing Friday and Saturday. And I'll probably go to Seminole Hard Rock in April, most likely. What do I think of Phil Ivey? Am I a Phil Ivey fan? I think Phil Ivey's great. I've had the pleasure of busting him on my way to winning this trophy. Phil Ivey took 4th place in that tournament, I think. That was fun. All right. Let's see. So yeah, what is the purpose of being known? I would tell you that that probably is not the goal you are going for. I think if that is your goal, I want to become known to get blank. The only thing you're going to get is the stroking of your ego. Beyond that, you're not going to get much sponsorship money. You're probably not going to get all that many great opportunities. I mean, to be fair, like, I have had some pretty insane runs in my life of being able to meet influential people just very sporadically. Some of which came from me saying yes to things that maybe I should have or maybe shouldn't have participated in. For example, good stroke of luck, maybe, or bad luck, depending on how it goes. I am a part owner of the D&B Poker Publishing Company. We publish all these books back here. Every single book back here, Jonathan Willis had a heavy hand in writing. Speaking of which, Mastering Mixed Games by Dylan Lind. Jonathan Little helped get this book together. And good solid book on mixed games. And it's up for the Global Poker Index Poker Content Piece of the Year. Kind of sad Modern Poker Theory is not up for it, because I think that's like the best book ever written. But hey, it is what it is. Get in there, book. Book won't get in there. So anyway, became very heavily involved with that. Okay. So from there, we published Phil Hellmuth's book. He had a biography. What's it called? It's called Poker Brat. And Phil, did I say Phil Ivey? Phil Hellmuth. We published Phil Hellmuth's book, Poker Brat. And, Phil Hellmuth knows everybody. Why? Because he's a character. He's well-connected, and he decided to have a party at Sheryl Sandberg's house in San Francisco. Sheryl Sandberg is very high up at Facebook. So Phil invited me and the 2 other publishers, and I'm like, yeah, we're going. And we went there, and I made a point to talk to as many people as I possibly could. And some other people there, poker players, they were like in their own corner talking to themselves, like, what are you all doing? This is the best networking opportunity you will ever have in your life. So I talked to Sheryl Sandberg some, I talked to Elon Musk some, I met Jason Calacanis, who has a great book called Angel back there on angel investing, and now I invest with Jason Calacanis through thesyndicate.com in all of his angel investments, or a lot of them. And, that may end up being a significantly life-changing opportunity if, he continues having the same track record he's had in the past, where he's, running super hot and picking good companies. And that's an opportunity that came about because I play well with others. And I played so well with others writing books that the publishers wanted me to work with them more heavily, curating content like Modern Poker Theory, like Mastering Mixed Games. And inevitably, someone just said who are the most famous people we met. I mean, Elon Musk is pretty famous, right? We sat and we talked. It was me, him, and Jason Calacanis for like 10 minutes, just talking about stuff. And that's neat. Played with A-Rod one time. Played with Derek Jeter one time, just randomly at Bellagio. They were just there gambling. And that kind of stuff just happens. But inevitably you make friends with people. I mean, I coached David Einhorn. He's a very well-known investor. So I'm good friends with him. And you just meet these people because you're out there mingling, but also mingling in a very useful way, right? So for example, whenever I met David Einhorn at charity tournaments, I would be the only one there actually battling hard with him. He liked gambling and fighting, right? I say fighting. He liked playing loose aggressive poker. And everybody else was just being a nit. So you get in there and you play loose aggressive poker, you needle them some, you play, right? You're going to find that most people just want to play. So get in there and play with them. And then, make sure you offer whatever services you have to help them. Now, my services are I can help you become better at poker. So when David Einhorn wanted to play the $1 million tournament at the World Series where he donates all the money away, he thought of me to help him, right? And inevitably other doors have opened up through that. And if you are open and you help others without... Basically, you just want to make sure you are adding value to people. If you consistently add value to people in every interaction you do, you never know what's going to happen, right? Like tonight, I'm going to a charity tournament, the Will the Thrill charity tournament. And I don't know who's going to be there. I don't know what's going to happen, but probably nothing amazing is going to happen. But every once in a while, something amazing happens, and you never know where it's going to end up going. Like, I could not have told you I would end up making 50 angel investments over the last 2 years with Jason Calacanis because I went to a random party that Phil Hellmuth was throwing, right? But here we are, right? And like all of my employees who work with me, they kind of approached me. Why? Because they thought they could add value to my company. They proved how they could do it. And they have, right? Like, just things happen if you are open and you're out there. So there is a lot of value in being out there, especially if you're discerning and especially if you know how to make the most of your opportunities. And I'm certainly not saying that I'm the best of making the most out of my opportunities, but I do my best. So anyway, I would tell you all to focus on getting very good at poker. Focus on getting good at poker, get good at poker, and also be open, fun, and add value to people. Now, fun, actually I have fun written here in quotes. Fun is very relative. Some people think fun is trying to tear down others. Some people think fun is piling on to people who are currently having a tough time. But that's not the type of fun most decently high up people think is actually fun. Most people think playing the games that you are playing hard is fun. Most people think, enjoying each other's company is fun. And most people think getting better and bettering yourself, like learning and helping and growing together, is fun. Like, you're going to find a lot of the very high up people in the world, at least in my experience, don't do a whole lot of goofing off. They're not doing a whole lot of drama. They're not doing a whole lot of gossip. They are usually focusing on their work, whatever that is, and they are usually focusing on getting good at one or two hobbies. For the people I know, poker is usually one of their hobbies. A lot of them like golf, a lot of them like tennis, a lot of them like fitness. Basically, you see they have hobbies that are very different, right? Poker and, let's say, fitness are very different because you can really control the results of fitness, but you can't control the results of poker at all. So those are usually two good things to have in your life because they are different, and you can be failing at one but succeeding at the other, succeeding at one and maybe taking it easy at the other, etc., etc. So anyway, a lot of people who are doing well at life focus on bettering the world and bettering themselves. And if you are not doing that, if you're not working on bettering others or adding value to others, you should not expect the best people to want to work with you because you're not their type of person. So I would definitely suggest that you work hard to better yourself and better others on a very regular basis. And that's going to go a long way to helping you add value to people, right? Adding value is key. A lot of people are looking at the various poker sites and saying, why are they getting rid of the online pros? Why are they no longer sponsoring them? Well, that's an easy answer. Take a second, think about it. They don't add value, right? I was, well, it happens all the time. There's no reason to give a very clear example. But I was playing with this guy who was a Unibet pro a while back, and he was at the table and he was like grumpy and angry and rude and mean to everyone. And this is someone who, presumably, that company decided to make their representative. So do you want your representative to be someone who is grumpy, rude, and mean at the poker table? The answer is clearly no. Well, maybe that guy was just having a bad day. I don't know. But like, if that is who you're putting forth as the face of your company, like that person's hurting them. I mean, if anything, right? Let's be real. So if you are actively hurting, well, why are you going to pay someone who's actively hurting your company? But then also, if you're just like being neutral, if there's someone at a table who's just being neutral, then what value are they adding? And this is why a lot of the sites are really focusing on streamers. They're focusing on video bloggers. They're focusing on people who are actually out there providing immense value and getting in front of people, right? Please pick a different topic next time. A better topic next time. The problem is better is qualitative, quantitative, etc. And this type of topic is, I think, what is actually relevant in the world. But hey, a lot of people just want to talk about poker hands. Fortunately for you, I have, 1,000 videos on that on YouTube, so make sure you check those out. Also, if you want to go back and watch some of the old episodes of this show, go back and do that. I have tons of them on all sorts of topics, ranging from very technical poker stuff to almost non-related poker stuff like today. But today was inspired by the Global Poker Index because I am up for Video Blogger of the Year. You can vote at twitter.com/Jonathan Little. I would definitely appreciate that. It's the very first tweet on the page. Just scroll right down, click these two links, vote for me, and I would appreciate that. If you've enjoyed my work over the last year, check it out. I was commenting on Joe Ingram's podcast yesterday because he had a podcast with Phil Galfond. I like both of them, and he said that Jonathan Little's made a video every day for the last 8 years. And it's kind of true. And you know what's funny? That's actually just the tip of the iceberg because that's only on YouTube. You all may not know this. I have a training site, pokercoaching.com, where, gosh, I don't even know how many hours of content we have. Hundreds and hundreds of hours of content there, in addition to everything else. And that's all high-level educational training material. So, anyway, it's just the tip of the iceberg, everyone. We're working hard, and we're doing our best. Is poker coaching available on the phone? Yeah, it'll work on the phone. We actually have an app coming out in the near future, with any luck. I don't know if it's going to be as great as I want it to be, but it is what it is. Post the link so you can vote. There it is. Or you can just go to twitter.com/ I can't type. Twitter.com/ Jonathan Little. Am I going to watch the Phil Galfond challenge? No, I don't have time for that. I think it's a good idea, though. If the topic is relevant to poker, why not listen and learn? Not sure what you're saying here. I think Doug Polk should have been nominated for various awards. Well, I will tell you, from someone who's on the voting committee, you get to pick a few people who you think are worthy of various awards. And if you make everyone on the award nomination committee unhappy, because they just probably don't like you all that much, then they're probably not going to vote for you. So, no, I think exactly the people who were nominated deserve to be nominated. Right? It is what it is. If you make a lot of people unhappy with you, inevitably, they're not going to like you. And Doug's made a lot of content, and a lot of it was relatively negative, unnecessarily. And that is his shtick, right? He has done we talked about this earlier. He's done a great job of cultivating an audience that is very, for lack of better words, toxic. They're trying to tear people down, right? And if that's the case, is that what deserves an award? The act of tearing people down. And the poker community, who was on the voting committee, they apparently thought no. So, it is what it is, right? And you'll see other people who have way less followers than him, right? I'm kind of in the middle of the pack. If you went down number of followers for YouTube channels, I'm like in the top 10 or whatever. But there are some people who with way fewer followers, way fewer videos, etc. But they're fun, unique. They add value. People like them. There's a lot of value in being well liked. This is what I'm telling you all the time, right? If people like you, good things happen. If people don't like you, bad things happen. And if you inevitably hate on almost every single segment of the poker community, or someone who, essentially say people like Jonathan Little and starts hating on Jonathan Little, people who like Jonathan Little are probably not going to start liking him so much. And you've seen Doug Polk have things against Vanessa Selbst and Jason Mercier and Dale Negreanu and who else? Matt Berkey, right? Just loads and loads of people. And inevitably, if you like any of those people, then you may not like the person who's trying to tear them down unnecessarily. So, it is what it is, right? At the end of the day, to some extent, you reap what you sow. And, business is not always fair. But at the same time, it kind of is. It's probably less variance in slow grind businesses like content creation than there is poker. And if you make content that belittles people and tears other people down, they're probably not going to like you, right? People generally like me, even though, I've made plenty of mistakes in my past, because I'm actively trying to help people and I'm not out there unnecessarily tearing people down. There are many content creators out there who make a point to tear people down. That's like what they do. And a lot of them aren't all that well liked. Who'd have thought, right? trying to think where to go with this. It's tough because, like, I in the poker world have a decent amount of information about what's going on that a lot of people do not. And so I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say specific things, but I think the Global Poker Awards are a very good example of who people in the industry like and who people in the industry don't like. So if you're not nominated to an award, maybe that says that the people in the industry generally don't like either you or the content you produced. But hey, a lot of the general public likes it because, like I said, a lot of people who are stuck, they like to try to tear other people down with them. Let's see. Imagine Derek Jeter representing a poker site playing medium stakes. Tons of people would join the site. I don't know if that's true. PokerStars has tried this. Party Poker's tried this, right? They've hired athletes to do this type of thing. I actually think the smart play, if they want to do athletes, they should do. They should go after athletes who are like not filthy rich, right? Derek Jeter. I mean, I don't know the guy, but it's probably going to take him like a very, very big deal to get Derek Jeter. So, why spend, I don't know, let's say $100 million on Derek Jeter when you could hire the best boxer for $1 million and the best chess player for $1 million, or maybe not even $1 million, maybe $100K, right? Or the best dart thrower, or the best pool player, or the best whatever. Insert any game. Why not hire those people for a significantly lower price? I realize I don't hit everybody like Derek Jeter is, but I bet you could get 100 people and have a equal or better reach than one specific person. It's more work, but it's probably worth it. Wouldn't winning a poker award go by your poker success instead of people liking you? Depends on the category, right? When it comes to things that are very subjective, like, for example, Poker Personality of the Year, how do you judge that? How do you gauge that? When it comes to Best Video Blogger, how do you gauge that? Some people think it's just gauged on views, or number of videos you made, or number of hours you made, whatever, right? Some people think that's what the criteria is, but really the criteria is, when you're talking about very subjective things, like Poker Personality of the Year, who do people like? Who helps you? And if the person you are, like, whenever you go to think of people, you're not going to think, oh, who bettered the poker world this year? The people who actively try to tear people down unnecessarily, or the people who helped me learn to win more money over the last year, right? Who are you going to think of for people like that, right? You think they nominate based on people who represent poker in a positive light. Well, I mean, I'm on the nomination committee, so how did I vote for these various categories? I voted on people who I thought provided a lot of value, who made the poker world a better place, who I enjoy their content, right? For Video Blogger, I mean, I didn't know every single video blogger. I looked at a few videos for all of them, but it's not like I know all of them personally or anything. But I'm trying to think who I voted for. I don't think I'm allowed to tell you all. I couldn't vote for myself. You're not allowed to vote for yourself. So funny enough, I was nominated without even my own vote. Who'd have thought? But I voted for people whose videos I liked. That is exactly how I voted, right? And some of them are not the most popular, but I like them, right? Did Johnny Vibes get a nominee? He did. J-Lo helped you win more this year. Well, good. Thank you. So that's going to be it for today. I have to go. I have something I have to do in 5 minutes, so I need to get to that. If you all enjoyed this stream, if you enjoyed my work over the last year, I would highly appreciate it if you decided to give me the Poker Personality of the Year award. We've been in the top 4 the last 2 years. I've been the only person in the top 4 the last 2 years. I have yet to win. 3rd time's a charm, 4th time's a charm. I will be at the Global Poker Awards this year. I will be there to collect it if they give it to me, if you all give it to me. Same thing with Video Blogger of the Year award. I'm not sure how this actually works with the Video Blogger of the Year award, because I know I got to vote for it, but I think that people get to vote for some of it, but I do know that people get to vote for all of the People's Choice Award. And, well, if you think I'm deserving, I would appreciate it. If you don't think I'm deserving, well, go vote for someone else. That's the answer. Go vote for whoever you want. Please answer you on poker online legislation within America. I don't even know the question, but I'll believe it when I see it. That's basically it. This was a lot of fun. Thank you. Well, you're very welcome. Thanks for being here. I don't know where the poker legislation question is. I don't know anything about it. When are the awards? The awards are March 6th, but I think voting actually ends on the 30... No, I don't know when voting ends. Read the links. twitter.com/Jonathan Little, or there's a direct link to that tweet. Thank you all for everything you do for me. Without all of you, I would not be here. So I appreciate all of you. Rhino says, good luck in your games and try to not be grumpy or mean. That's right. Be a positive light. Be someone who benefits the community and helps the world. And have fun while you're doing it. I appreciate all of you. Good luck in your games. Have a great Wednesday. This is the day. Right in the middle of the week. It's the peak. Get lots done. And enjoy yourself. Have fun. Thanks a lot. And I will see all of you again on Friday, bright and early.